A ceasefire extended, but sirens still echo. Evacuate immediately, the warning says as drones fall and strikes resume. 3 more weeks on paper, but fire on the ground. Between diplomacy and detonation, the line is fading fast. So is this a truce holding or a war simply catching its breath? The Israeli military has ordered residents of the village of Deir Ammar to evacuate immediately after Hezbollah reportedly launched attacks from the area, including the downing of an Israeli Hermes drone. In a statement posted on X, IDF Arabic spokesperson Colonel Avichay Adraee issued an urgent warning to civilians.
Urgent warning to residents of Lebanon present in the town of Deir Ammar. Hezbollah's terrorist activities and its carrying out of launches from your town force the Defense Army to act against it in your place of residence. The Defense Army does not intend to harm you. Out of concern for your safety and the safety of your family members, you must evacuate your homes immediately and stay away from the village for a distance of no less than 1,000 meters outside the village.
The IDF confirmed that Hezbollah shot down one of its unmanned aerial vehicles over southern Lebanon using a surface-to-air missile. Separately, the military reported that Hezbollah launched explosive-laden drones toward Israeli troops operating in the village of Qantara. The drones detonated near forces, but no casualties were reported.
The Hezbollah terror organization once again blatantly violated the ceasefire agreement.
The escalation comes even as US President Donald Trump announced a 3-week extension of the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire following high-level talks in Washington. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded by emphasizing continued military operations despite the ceasefire framework.
Israel had a chance to achieve a historic peace between Israel and Lebanon, but that it was clear to us that Hezbollah is trying to sabotage this. We are maintaining full freedom of action against any threat, including emerging ones. We attacked yesterday, and we attacked today. We are determined to restore security to the residents of the North.
Even as diplomacy attempts to stabilize the Israel-Lebanon front, ground realities suggest a fragile ceasefire, where military operations, retaliatory strikes, and strategic messaging continue to shape a volatile and uncertain battlefield. Hezbollah has fired rockets into northern Israel, the first time the Iran-backed group had targeted Israeli territory since a ceasefire came into force a week earlier. According to reports, the rockets struck near Shtula, a border community in the western Galilee, shortly before midnight. The IDF said all rockets were intercepted. Within minutes, Israeli aircraft hit the launch site and a second launcher that was loaded and ready to fire. Hezbollah claimed responsibility, saying the attack was in retaliation for Israeli artillery shelling in the southern Lebanese town of Yatta earlier, which wounded 2 people, including a child. It was not the group's first action since the truce took hold. Over the course of April 23rd alone, Hezbollah claimed 6 separate attacks on Israeli forces in southern Lebanon, including drone strikes, rocket fire, and an anti-tank missile that hit near IDF troops in Beit Jbeil. This comes as the Israeli army continues to strike inside the Lebanese territory despite a truce being in place. According to Lebanese media, strikes killed 3 people near Nabateh, who the IDF claimed were Hezbollah operatives. Israeli bulldozers have also continued demolishing homes in border villages. The rocket fire landed at a pointed moment. Israeli and Lebanese ambassadors were sitting down at the White House for a second round of talks, the most direct contact between the 2 countries in decades. Hours after the meeting, Trump announced a 3-week extension of the truce between the 2 countries.
We had a great meeting with the very high officials of Lebanon and very high officials of Israel, and we think that the president of Lebanon and the prime minister of Israel over the next couple of weeks will be coming here. They've agreed to an additional 3 weeks of, no firing, ceasefire, no more firing. Let's see. We hope that happens. It's not going to happen between them, but they do have Hezbollah to think about.
Trump also addressed the question of Israeli military action, telling reporters in the Oval Office,
Israel is going to have to defend itself if they're shot at, and they will. I would never say that they can't. It would be nice if they wouldn't have to bother with that, but if something happens, they're going to have to defend themselves, as you know. But they're going to do it carefully, and they're going to be surgical as opposed to beyond surgical. And, there's a lot they can do. But Israel is going to have to defend itself.
It was a walk back from a post the previous week in which Trump had declared Israel was prohibited from bombing Lebanon, a statement that alarmed officials in Washington. Then came a harder line on Iran, asked whether Tehran must stop funding Hezbollah as a condition of any peace deal with the US. Trump did not hesitate.
The funding that Hezbollah gets from Iran, is Iran going to have to cut that off to do a deal with you?
Yeah, they'll have to cut that.
That's a must for you.
Yeah, sure. That's a must, yeah.
Tehran has consistently pushed back on demands that its support for regional proxies be part of any negotiation. The ceasefire now runs to mid-May. In the hills of southern Lebanon, in a place called Maish, a wounded Hezbollah fighter did something that nobody expected. He had crawled bleeding from Bint Jabal to the Ain Ebal area. The Lebanese civil defense gave him first aid. A Red Cross ambulance was called to take him north, and then the phone rang. Israeli forces stationed nearby in Debel had found out. They called the paramedics directly and gave them a choice: hand over the fighter or the ambulance gets bombed. The paramedics refused. What happened next says something about this war that no press release ever could. The fighter, still bleeding, made his own decision. He told the paramedics to stand down. And then he walked himself to Debel and surrendered, because he did not want the paramedics or the local residents to pay the price for his survival. The IDF later confirmed it. On April 23rd, Israel's military said troops from the 146th Division had captured a member of Hezbollah's elite Radwan force in southern Lebanon.
A short while after being identified, the terrorist surrendered and was apprehended by the forces.
He was transferred to Unit 504, the Military Intelligence Directorate's Human Intelligence branch, for questioning. The IDF described the operative as someone who was planning imminent attacks on Israeli soldiers. But the fuller picture that emerged from the ground told a different story about how that surrender actually unfolded. This is also the same stretch of Lebanon where Israeli forces have bombed churches and, according to reports from these Christian border villages, smashed statues of Christ with sledgehammers. The communities caught in the middle are not combatants. They are villagers. And on this day, a Hezbollah fighter made sure they stayed safe. That capture did not happen in a vacuum. Israel and Lebanon are currently inside a 10-day ceasefire window, one that is set to expire on April 26th. Both sides have sent envoys to Washington, where American-mediated talks are ongoing. And yet, despite that truce, both Israel and Hezbollah have already fired on each other since it began. The Israeli military has not pulled back. It continues to operate in southern Lebanon, up to the Litani River, where it says it is building a buffer zone to prevent future Hezbollah attacks on northern Israel. The capture of the Radwan force operative fits squarely into that posture. Israel is signaling it will not wait for threats to arrive at the border. The Radwan force is not an ordinary unit. It is Hezbollah's special forces, and its name alone carries weight across the region. That one of its members surrendered to Israeli troops under these specific circumstances will be studied carefully by both sides. The Israeli defense minister used the country's most solemn occasion, to deliver one of his sharpest warnings yet, telling Hezbollah chief Naim Qassem he would pay with his head. Speaking at the state memorial ceremony at Mount Herzl in Jerusalem on April 21st, Israel Katz said military operations in southern Lebanon would continue at full force, ceasefire or not, and that the Israeli army had been ordered to destroy any structure posing a threat to its forces.
Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah destroyed the Shiite community in Lebanon, and Naim Qassem will do the same and will pay, as did his predecessors. He would ultimately pay with his head like all the other leaders of the axis of evil.
Katz also warned that the Lebanese government would also face continued military operations if it failed to meet its obligations under the ceasefire terms. And those obligations, according to Katz's own words, are for thousands of Lebanese to vacate their own homes and leave.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and I have instructed the IDF to operate with full force on land and from the air, even during the ceasefire, to protect our soldiers in Lebanon from any threat. Any structure that threatens our forces and any route suspected of containing explosives must be destroyed immediately. This is the goal of Operation Silver Plough in Lebanon, to remove the houses in the adjacent contact villages, near the border that served as Hezbollah terrorist outposts in every respect, and threatened Israeli communities and IDF soldiers. These houses will not remain there.
The remarks came during a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon that came into force on April 17th, brokered by US President Donald Trump following direct talks between Lebanese and Israeli officials in Washington, the first such negotiations in decades. The Israeli army holds a security zone extending up to 10 kilometers inside southern Lebanon, from the Mediterranean coast to the foothills of Mount Hermon. Katz said the zone and the broader area stretching to the Litani River must be cleared entirely of Hezbollah fighters and weapons. Lebanon's health ministry put the death toll from the war, which began on March the 2nd, at 2,587 as of April 21st, with more than 7,500 wounded. The ceremonies at Mount Herzl marked Israel's Memorial Day, which opened the previous evening with a nationwide siren in honor of 25,648 fallen soldiers.